So this is the big news. Donald Trump obviously talking about the military in Chicago. That is what is occurring. He kicked it off by renaming the Department of Defense to the Department of War. It was really like the War Department. That one I'm not so concerned about. It's illegal. Congress has to do that. However, we all know nothing will be done. They've already changed the door plates. They're going to change the letterhead. And it's just going to be a done deal. Congress isn't going to do anything about it. Nobody's going to do anything about it. I'm sure a judge would say or do something, but it's a fait accompli. It's just going to happen. There's not anything anybody's really going to do about it, realistically. So that is baked in. That's going to happen. However, Trump seems very confused about a couple things. His social media post, and then later on, as he's leaving for the US Open, he berates a reporter for asking about his social media post. So let's start with the social media post. All right, so here is the post he put on Truth Social. I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War. And then he has a AI-generated image of himself from the iconic scene of Apocalypse Now, retitled Chipocalypse Now. Okay, first of all, I'm somewhat offended by this because as any Midwesterner who has spent time in Chicago knows, it's not Chipocalypse, it's Chirac. Let's get that straight right now. Everyone around us everybody in the Midwest knows it's Chirac. It is not Chipocalypse. This is ridiculous. Secondly, crime has been going down in Chicago over the last few years. That is also a fact. There are crime trackers that study Chicago. There's some very interesting ones, which I can share or link down in the description of this video, that track the murders, gunshots, all the things in Chicago. Now, when you see this, if you have a basic reading comprehension, you understand he's talking the Department of War. It's not the Department of assisting ICE in snatching people off the street on Michigan Avenue. It's not the Department of Law Enforcement. It is the Department of War. When you say that you're about to find out what the Department of War means, any thinking human being would think you're saying they're going to find out why it's called war, meaning you're declaring war. We all straight on that? Reasonable? Okay. Let's move on to the actual video then. So this is Donald Trump as he is asked a question about that social media post. And because he was trained by the scumbag attorney Cohn, you never admit you're wrong. You never admit a mistake. You always attack. So you can see you can almost see when he becomes unhinged. So he either doesn't remember the post he put, or he goes on the attack like a frickin' Rottweiler that sees a bone or hears the German word to attack. A switch flips in his head and he just loses it.
Are you trying to go to war with Chicago?
When you say that, darling, that's fake news.
Well, why would you leave the Department of Defense?
Listen, be quiet.
It was not fake news. I just showed the post. Any thinking human above grade 4 would understand what that post meant.
Listen, you don't listen. You never listen. That's why you're second rate. We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our city. We're going to clean them up so they don't kill 5 people every weekend. That's not war. That's common sense.
Mr. President, how is your ready? How is your ready to Prime Minister?
All right, so here's something I've been noticing about Republicans and right-wing media is they're trying really hard to frame their actions as common sense. Like anybody with common sense knows tariffs are good. Anybody with common sense knows such and such. They're framing that because they know what they're doing is illegal. They're framing it that way because they know what they're doing is unconstitutional. Do people like crime? No, of course not. Nobody sits there and says, oh man, I wish my neighborhood had more crime. However, it is not common sense, and it has never been common sense in the United States, to send the military in to fight crime. That's what the police are for. People who are trained in civil procedure, people who are trained in constitutional law and how to arrest people correctly. That's the police. That is what they are there for. Not active duty military or National Guard troops. In the case of our military, they are trained for one thing and one thing only, and that is to kill the enemies of the United States, not arrest people, not investigate robberies, not run down a purse snatcher on Michigan Avenue. It is to kill people. That is their job. That is their profession. If you happen to really be one of those guys that is so far deep into, the 300 and Sparta. So like an attack dog, like a crazed freaking attack dog, he goes after this reporter because he knows he fucked up. He knows that social media post was awful. He knows it. So he immediately calls it fake news, which is a blatant lie. And anybody can see it. Everybody can see it. It's common sense. You want common sense? That's common sense. The man lies if he's breathing, and he lied there about it being fake news. He is absolutely going to send the military into Chicago. Now, can he do it? He's going to. Is it legal? No, absolutely not. He had the barest whiff of authority to do so in D.C. because D.C. is technically, if you look at the Constitution, it is a federal district. It is governed by the federal government. So he has the authority to send them into D.C. because it's technically not an anything. D.C. it's not a state, it's not a city, it's not a municipality, it is a federal district. Chicago is a whole nother ball of wax. Chicago is an actual U.S. city. It is a municipality in the state of Illinois. Posse Comitatus Act forbids the military from acting in a law enforcement fashion in U.S. states. Period. But what is he doing? He's going to send National Guard troops from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas. Basically, it's the Confederacy is finally going to occupy a U.S. city. That's basically what this is. So, where do we go from here? Well, realistically, the courts are going to fight it out, of course. Is he going to abide by the federal courts? Who knows? This is really the constitutional test that they have been waiting for. They didn't get it in LA because they only sent the troops in to LA in order to protect federal officials, which barest fig leaf they could do. However, even now, judges are overturning that and calling what they did illegal. So now they're going for the whole ball of wax. Tanks, APCs, troops on the street of an American city. The very opposite of common sense. Because National Guard troops, again, they're trained to fight the enemies of the United States. And in the case of National Guard troops, they're also trained to respond to national disasters. They are not trained to arrest people. They are not trained in civil procedure. They are not trained in due process. These are all the things that are absolutely illegal. So what are going to be the consequences here? Well, the people of Chicago are already definitely speaking up. Here's a video from Chicago News on just some of the protests yesterday in Chicago. You can see thousands and thousands of people. And you can see, there's a lot of people there, and that is Chicago. So you can see a lot of people there in that video, and that is just Chicago saying what they think, really. He will not have an easy time in Chicago. We all know he hates Chicago. It's no secret. I've said in previous videos that when this stuff finally goes down, he's going to start it in Chicago because he hates Chicago, because of Barack Obama, because of all the things. But then one of the bright spots, for me at least, was I play tennis. I mean, I don't know if you can see my background here, but, Bjorn Borg. I've been a member of the USTA. It is shameful that the USTA put pressure on news organizations and people broadcasting the men's final at the US Open to not broadcast any reaction to Donald Trump. Do not broadcast the booing. But fortunately, people ignored it. So we get some audio and video of Trump getting booed at the US Open. So here's Donald Trump getting booed at the US Open. It has been reported on some videos that the boos were so loud that the broadcasters actually cut because they didn't want to air it. Who knows? But clearly, there was something going on. And I'd like to end this video. You know who had common sense? Benjamin Franklin, when he said, "Those who would give up essential liberty to secure temporary security deserve neither liberty nor security." That's the situation we're in. This will not stand, and Chicago is obviously going to rise up. Please hit like and subscribe. I'll post some Chicago crime statistics in the description, and have a great night.